The Freemasons operate far beyond their charitable facade. Their influence permeates major historical revolutions and political shifts, with their lodges serving as the true centers of power. Virtually all American founding fathers, Washington, Franklin, and others, belonged to this secret brotherhood. Their symbolism dominates American currency, government architecture, and urban planning, most notably the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill. Masonic rituals involve lambskin aprons and ancient ceremonies focused on building a so-called spiritual temple, widely believed to be code for establishing a new world order. While they publicly acknowledge only 3 degrees of initiation, the Scottish Rite's secretive 33rd degree reportedly houses the true power brokers that orchestrate global events from wars to financial collapses. Their most influential leader, Albert Pike, explicitly wrote of Lucifer as the light bearer and the god of the Masons during the French Revolution. Masonic lodges actively plotted against the monarchy, while Italy's P2 Lodge became entangled in Vatican scandals. Some Middle Eastern nations have deemed Masonic membership a capital offense. The Brotherhood's tentacles extend through justice systems, financial institutions, and media outlets worldwide. Their influence became so concerning that the UK mandated judges disclose their Masonic affiliations. The Vatican has issued over 600 formal condemnations, with the Pope declaring their principles, quote, irreconcilable with Catholic doctrine. Most cunningly, the Freemasons have engineered contemporary conspiracy theories about secret societies. By cultivating an image of eccentric old men in ceremonia regalia, they render genuine concerns about their influence seemingly absurd. This calculated misdirection allows them to continue reshaping global power structures, while skeptics dismiss the very notion of their machinations. The Skull and Bones Society operates from a windowless structure at Yale University known as the Tomb. This secret brotherhood counts 3 U.S. presidents among its members, including both candidates in the 2004 presidential election. When questioned about the society, John Kerry offered only, "Not much, because it's a secret." Officially named the Brotherhood of Death, the society annually selects 15 Yale juniors for membership. Inside their sanctuary, members worship Eulogia, a goddess of their own creation. Their documents bear dates starting from 322 BC, marking the year Athenian democracy collapsed under the plutocratic rule. Members receive permanent nicknames within the society. George H.W. Bush was designated Magog, while Time magazine founder Henry Luce was called Baal, named after a demon deity. The society allegedly practiced crooking, ritualistic theft, with rumored possessions including the skulls of Martin Van Buren, Geronimo, and Pancho Villa. A skull with skull and bones provenance was once listed at Christie's auction house before being abruptly withdrawn. The society maintains a private island retreat on the St. Lawrence River, completely off-limits to outsiders. New initiates reportedly spend a week there, undergoing secretive rituals and instruction. Financial records reveal their front organization, Russell Trust Association, controls at least $17 million in reported assets, with actual holdings potentially far greater. Conspiracy theories connect the society to the Illuminati and suggest they exercise control over the CIA. The coincidence of both 2004 presidential candidates belonging to this exclusive society, which admits only 15 members annually since its 1832 founding, represents an extraordinary concentration of power within American democracy. The organization's headquarters contains no windows at all. Members march in black suits adorned with gold pins for Thursday night gatherings. Whatever transpires within remains strictly confidential, creating a serious bond between members, including presidents from opposing political parties who share secrets inaccessible to the general public. The Illuminati originated in Bavaria in 1776, founded by intellectuals who gathered in secrecy. They used secret handshakes, coded messages, and blood oaths, pledging allegiance to Lucifer, the light bearer, which inspired the name Illuminati. The founder, Adam Weishaupt, was merely a professor but a former Jesuit who established 13 powerful bloodlines, including the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and Astors, families who became the world's true rulers. Their infiltration of Freemasonry was calculated and complete. They created hidden lodges within established ones, positioning triple agents throughout. While regular Masons believed they were simply networking, they were actually being evaluated. The worthy received invitations to join the inner circle, while the others remained in the lower blue degrees, unaware of the true power structure. Their supposed disbandment in 1784 was a perfect cover. Going underground was always the plan. Within 2 years, revolution engulfed France. 4 years later, Washington, D.C. was designated with occult geometry, streets forming a pentagram and the White House positioned at 13th Street. The symbolism continues on American currency. The dollar bill features a floating eye watching over humanity, with Latin text proclaiming New World Order. The number 13 appears repeatedly. 13 steps on the pyramid, 13 stars above the eagle, 13 arrows, 13 leaves, appearing 32 total times on a single bill. 13 represents rebellion and Lucifer himself. This video is sponsored by my new personal channel where I cover all things fringe and unexplained. If you'd like to help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers, you can find the link down below. And now back to the video. By 1798, speaking about the Illuminati became dangerous. Those who exposed them met mysterious ends. John Robison, author of Proofs of a Conspiracy, died young under suspicious circumstances. Augustin Barruel was forced to recant his exposés. Critics either perished or were silenced. In America, Yale's Skull and Bones Society became their academic stronghold. As we mentioned, the Bush and Carey families are among its members. Initiates lie in coffins confessing their darkest secrets, creating perfect blackmail material. No one leaves without being compromised. President Kennedy posed a threat to their power. He spoke openly about secret societies, planned to dismantle the CIA, and intended to leave the Federal Reserve System. 10 days after his revealing speech, Dallas happened. Lee Harvey Oswald was merely a patsy in a professional operation. The music industry serves as their playground, filled with one-eye poses and triangle hand signs. Jay-Z frequently displays the triangle symbol, celebrities constantly covering one eye in their videos, and Madonna openly calling herself the queen of the Illuminati. Hidden messages exist in music, certain songs played backward reveal satanic praise, and celebrity deaths follow patterns. Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, and Prince all spoke about the industry's dark side right before their untimely demises. Hollywood embraces their symbolism extensively. Movie posters regularly feature the covered eye motif and pyramids with eyes. Corporate logos incorporate the all-seeing eye. It's everywhere. The most disturbing aspect is their centuries-old planning. Albert Pike outlined 3 world wars in 1871, the first to end monarchies, the second to establish Israel, and the third to pit Muslims against the Christians while the elite watch. 2 have occurred, while the third is being orchestrated right now. Population control plans are openly displayed. The Georgia Guidestones explicitly stated, maintain humanity under 500 million, requiring the elimination of 7 billion people and more every day. Bill Gates discusses vaccines in relation to population reduction. Meanwhile, elites construct bunkers and underground facilities, preparing for a coming event. The MK Ultra mind control program never truly ended. It went covert. Each year, 800,000 children vanish in America alone, reportedly taken to underground facilities for adrenochrome harvesting, extracting the blood of terrified children for its supposed youth-preserving properties. Hillary Clinton's emails mentioned cooking. The Federal Reserve operates as a private entity owned by the Illuminati families, not a government institution. They create money from nothing, generate debt, and control governments. Countries attempting to abandon this system, Iraq and Libya, face democratization. The true objective isn't oil, but monetary control. The internet, far from being a tool of freedom, serves as the ultimate surveilling apparatus. Facebook's initial investment came from a CIA venture capital firm, and Google's original name was Backrub, massaging humanity's consciousness. Algorithms function as programming tools rather than neutral technology. Weather manipulation has become reality through technologies like HAARP, creating floods, droughts, and hurricanes as control mechanisms. They create problems, observe reactions, and implement their solutions, their oldest strategy. Their symbols have evolved from subtle to blatant. V for vendetta masks at protests, triangles in children cartoons, checkered floors in music videos, and monarch butterflies everywhere, all initiating the masses through entertainment. Celebrities who attempt to break free face elimination. Prince warned about chemtrails before his death. Michael Jackson's final concert message, "They don't care about us." Elon Musk's Neuralink project represents their transhumanist agenda. Brain chips merging humans with machines. Their ultimate goal is to render humanity obsolete, upload consciousness to computers under their control, and rule indefinitely. Their influence extends into every institution: governments, churches, corporations, education, medicine. The Pope displays Illuminati hand signs. British royals trace back to the 13 bloodlines. Entertainment, banking, and global systems all lead to their control. The dollar's inevitable collapse is by design, paving way for the digital currency that tracks every transaction. Social credit scores and Mark of the Beast technology will prevent buying or selling without their approval, ensuring absolute dominance. They truly believe they're humanity's saviors. The Great Reset, promoted by Klaus Schwab's promise, "You'll own nothing and be happy." They view population reduction as a planetary salvation and total control as the antidote to chaos. In their minds, they aren't villains but gods fixing a broken world. The pyramid nears completion. The all-seeing eye watches constantly, 13 steps to total control advancing with each generation. The conditioning strengthens and the symbolism grows bolder because resistance seems futile. Their planning spans centuries, their infiltration runs deep, and their power approaches absolute. And perhaps the most unsettling truth is they're not coming. They've been here for centuries. You carry their symbol in your wallet, use their systems daily, watch their programs, and purchase their products. You've been marked without your knowledge. The Knights Templar began as humble protectors of religious pilgrims, but transformed into medieval Europe's most powerful secret banking network. They strategically established their headquarters on Temple Mount, directly above the ruins of Solomon's Temple. Despite their vows of poverty, they accumulated vast wealth that gave them influence over European monarchs. Their initiation ceremonies remained strictly confidential. Witnesses faced death sentences. New recruits were required to kiss the feet of junior knights, with whispers of more unusual rituals that followed. The order's downfall came suddenly, when King Philip IV of France orchestrated dawn raids on Friday the 13th, 1307, the origin of the date's unlucky reputation. Under torture, captured Templars confessed to worshipping a mysterious entity called Baphomet, depicted as either a head or goat-like figure. They allegedly spat on crucifixes and renounced Christ. Before his execution by burning, Grand Master Jacques de Molay issued a chilling curse against both king and pope, prophesizing they would join him before God within a year. Remarkably, the pope died 1 month later, followed by the king's death while hunting before the year's end. Though officially disbanded, the order continued in Portugal under a new name, the Order of Christ, maintaining their same castles, knights, and secrets. They later assisted Christopher Columbus in his voyage to America. Modern conspiracy theories connect them to numerous historical mysteries: the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, and even descendants of Jesus. Some believe they continue operating behind the scenes, leveraging their financial expertise to control global economies. Their symbols persist through modern society. The Red Cross organization still uses their distinctive emblem. Their circular churches reflect hidden knowledge of sacred geometry, and even the infamous skull and crossbones flag allegedly originated from Templar headquarters. The Knights Templar possessed something valuable enough to die protecting, a secret that some believe continues to shape our world from the shadows. In 1600s Germany, the Rosicrucians emerged with manifestos that shocked Europe. Their rose cross symbol had already been hidden throughout medieval architecture long before their public appearance. They claimed possession of an ancient text containing secrets from Paracelsus, the alchemist credited with creating a homunculus and discovering the Philosopher's Stone. Their supposed founder, Christian Rosicrucius, allegedly lived 106 years after studying forbidden knowledge from Middle Eastern mystics. The Brotherhood declared they were preparing a universal reformation of mankind through secret knowledge concealed from the average man, knowledge granting power over physical and spiritual realms. When mysterious posters appeared overnight across Paris in 1622 stating, "We, the deputies of the Higher College of the Rose Croix, do make our stay, visibly and invisibly, in this city," public panic ensued. Around 1710, occult scholars suggested the Brotherhood had not disappeared, but migrated eastward. Some believe they went underground, infiltrating European power structures, while operating through newer front organizations. One theory traces their origins to an Alexandrian Gnostic sage named Ormus, converted by Jesus' disciple Mark in 46 AD, who supposedly fused Egyptian mysteries with early Christianity to create the true Rosicrucian doctrine. These bloodlines reportedly continued in secret for centuries. In Naples, a Rosicrucian offshoot called the Brotherhood of Miriam practiced therapeutic magic, healing rituals purportedly curing diseases beyond modern medicine's capabilities. By 1933, Soviet authorities had suppressed 3 major Rosicrucian orders, raising questions about what these mystics knew that threatened power structures. Their influence extended widely. Some Masonic scholars assert that Dante's Divine Comedy contains encoded Rosicrucian teachings, suggesting their profound yet unacknowledged influence on Western civilization. When the Nazis rose to power, they were heavily influenced by the German Rosicrucian offshoot, Golden and Rosy Cross. Hitler's occult connections were more than mere rumors. The same mystical traditions that promised enlightenment somehow transformed into something far darker. Modern Rosicrucian organizations claim legitimate descent from this ancient wisdom tradition. But the question remains, who controls today's groups, and what grand design are they truly preparing humanity for? The Black Hand was a secret military society whose chilling motto spoke volumes: unification or death. These weren't ordinary conspirators, but high-ranking Serbian officers running death squads who forever altered world history. Their brutality came clear in 1903 when they stormed the royal palace in Belgrade, King and Queen of Serbia. Their leader, codenamed Apis, or the Bull, survived over 120 bullets in various assassination attempts, adding to his almost mythical status. By 1914, their deadly efficiency had evolved to include recruiting teams with backup killers positioned along parade routes. When their first bomber failed to kill Archduke Franz Ferdinand, a second was ready, ultimately triggering World War I. The society operated through isolated cells where members knew only their immediate conspirators, never the entire network. Each member swore an oath to carry their secrets to the grave, secrets some believe remain buried to this day. When officially dissolved in 1917, they simply transformed into the White Hand, and later resurfaced during World War II as the Serbian Cultural Club. This pattern of apparent death and resurrection fuels theories that the organization never truly disappeared, but merely went deeper underground. Many theorists believe modern Serbian ultra-nationalist groups are direct descendants of the original Black Hand. With a history of assassinating monarchs and igniting global conflicts, their supposed disbanding offers little comfort to those who study their methods. The Black Hand represents a disturbing reality. A small group of determined military officers willing can fundamentally alter global events. Perhaps most unsettling is the possibility that somewhere initiates still pledge by the sun which shineth upon me to maintain these deadly traditions and secrets. The Priory of Sion allegedly operates in complete secrecy, guarding what some consider the most explosive secret in history, the bloodline of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. According to these claims, for over 9 centuries, the clandestine organization has protected descendants from this sacred lineage, positioning themselves to eventually reveal evidence that would fundamentally challenge traditional Christianity. Notable figures such as Leonardo da Vinci, Isaac Newton, and Victor Hugo have been named as supposed Grand Masters of this organization. Adherents believe these influential individuals received esoteric knowledge regarding the Holy Grail, not a cup, but Mary Magdalene's womb, carrying the bloodline of Christ. The mysterious dossier secret documents discovered in France's National Library contain encoded messages and genealogies purportedly linking the Priory to the Knights Templar. These papers suggest centuries of infiltration into governments and religious institutions, all to install specific leaders preparing for the prophesied great monarch's return. In the village of Rennes-le-Château, a local priest allegedly found ancient parchments hidden within his church altar. These documents referenced treasure and contained the cryptic message, "To Dagobert II the king, and to Sion belongs this treasure, and he is there dead." The priest's subsequent death raised questions about possible retribution for uncovering hidden knowledge. The organization's symbol combines the fleur-de-lis with occult imagery, representing their claimed divine right to rule. Investigators claim to have discovered mummified remains in underground tombs near Rennes-le-Château, speculated to be Mary Magdalene herself. The site's destruction before proper examination only fueled theories of deliberate cover-ups by powerful interests. Modern Priory activities allegedly include infiltrating Freemasonry, adopting deceased individuals' identities, and harnessing energy from ancient ley lines. When investigations approach sensitive information, evidence reportedly vanishes, while witnesses inexplicably change testimonies or die under mysterious circumstances. The Vatican purportedly fears the Priory more than any other organization, conducting campaigns to discredit their claims while secretly searching for burial sites of the sacred bloodline. Should the Priory ever reveal conclusive proof of their assertions, some believe it could fundamentally undermine the foundations of organized religion.
Like this video and subscribe to Maker.
In the California Redwoods, an annual gathering takes place that few outsiders ever witness. Every July, America's elite, corporate CEOs, former presidents, Supreme Court justices, and other power brokers assemble at Bohemian Grove for a secretive 2-week retreat. The event begins with the cremation of care ceremony. Men in crimson robes carry a coffin containing a human effigy to the base of a towering 40-foot stone owl. They set the effigy ablaze while reciting Latin phrases and proclaiming the destruction of their worldly concerns. The massive owl statue appears to come alive as fireworks illuminate the night sky. Despite its peculiar nature, attendance reads like a roster of American influence. Richard Nixon once described it as, quote, the most goddamn thing, yet continued attending. Ronald Reagan reportedly arranged political deals affecting the 1968 election during these gatherings. George H.W. Bush participated in their theatrical productions. The membership includes intriguing connections, defense contractors mingling with Pentagon officials, oil executives dining with the Secretary of Interior during environmental crises. These interactions occur far from public scrutiny, with strict prohibitions against women, phones, and press coverage. The Grove features unique camps with names like Poison Oak, where unusual traditions flourish, including the Bull's Balls lunch featuring roasted cattle testicles. Members describe the atmosphere as an exclusive fraternity for global elites. Beyond the ritualistic elements, the Grove hosts lakeside talks, confidential speeches where politicians can test policies before the nation's most influential figures. Nixon's political rehabilitation after his defeat by Kennedy reportedly began with performances at these gatherings. While officially described as harmless recreation, the combination of powerful decision-makers, pagan-inspired ceremonies, and complete secrecy creates an environment where consequential agreements affecting millions can be made without oversight or accountability. The Ordo Templi Orientis stands as one of history's most influential occult organizations. At its core, it engages in rituals centered around magic, ceremonial acts believed to channel supernatural forces. Under Aleister Crowley's leadership, the group shed its Masonic origins and evolved into a deeply esoteric order, guided by a sacred text he claimed to have received from an entity named Aiwass. Its structure is built on a strict hierarchy of degrees, each designed to safeguard what insiders refer to as the supreme secret. This secret knowledge is carefully withheld from lower-ranking initiates, ensuring that most participants remain unaware of the full scope of what they've joined. The Order's reach extends far beyond esoteric circles, with deep roots in entertainment. Numerous figures in Hollywood and the music industry are known to be affiliated, weaving its arcane symbolism into content consumed by millions. Things take a darker turn with individuals like Bobby Beausoleil, who allegedly stole the work of occult filmmaker Kenneth Anger before becoming part of Charles Manson's infamous circle. Beausoleil later claimed the group had even tried to recruit Manson, hinting at unsettling connections between occultism and notorious criminal movements. Jack Parsons perfectly illustrates the duality of this organization, a groundbreaking rocket scientist who also led ceremonial workings. His mysterious death in a lab explosion occurred just as he claimed to be approaching success in rituals aimed at opening interdimensional gateways. The group's religious counterpart, the Gnostic Catholic Church, conducts ceremonies involving cakes of light, ritualistic substances reportedly made with, as described in their own publications. Critics have accused the order of everything from trafficking to covert influence over global narratives, often pointing to recurring names that lead back to this clandestine society. The Nine Unknown stands as possibly history's most dangerous secret society. After Emperor Ashoka slaughtered 100,000 people, he established this clandestine group to safeguard humanity's most perilous knowledge. 9 individuals, each responsible for a single book of forbidden wisdom, form this ancient organization. These texts contain formidable secrets, a touch of death technique capable of killing through nerve manipulation, anti-gravitational technology for constructing vimanas, flying machines, and alchemical methods for transforming lead into gold. Their microbiology book reportedly contains the cholera vaccine formula, but this knowledge is strategically released only when they deem humanity worthy. During crises like pandemics or wars, these gatekeepers determine whether humanity deserves technological advancement or salvation. For approximately 2,000 years, they've maintained their number through immediate replacement upon a member's death. When Pope Sylvester II returned from India with an advanced bronze head capable of answering binary questions, technology centuries ahead of its time, many believe he encountered the Nine. His mysterious death shortly after attempting to demonstrate this device only deepened the mystery. Perhaps most disturbing is their propaganda book, containing psychological warfare techniques for mass population manipulation. While conspiracy theorists focus on visible shadow governments, the Nine potentially operate from deeper shadows, wielding influence unseen. These guardians of dangerous knowledge may walk among us in plain sight. Each member protects information that could either save or annihilate humanity, making them not just keepers of secrets but arbiters of human destiny. The true mystery isn't their existence but their identity, ordinary people concealing extraordinary power. The Bilderberg Group has operated since 1954 as one of the world's most secretive gatherings of power. These annual meetings bring together approximately 120 of the most influential people on the planet. Billionaires, presidents, media executives, and banking dynasties like the Wallenbergs, all meeting behind closed doors with no public records of their discussions. What makes Bilderberg particularly controversial is their strict adherence to the Chatham House rule, allowing attendees to use information from discussions without ever revealing who said what. The complete security lockdown surrounding these events, hotels entirely booked out, armed guards positioned throughout, and staff restricted from meeting areas, only deepens public suspicion. Former attendee Dennis Healy once acknowledged they discussed establishing a single community throughout the world, fueling theories about their agenda for global governance. The timing of certain political appointments raises questions too, such as when Herman Van Rompuy suddenly became president of the European Council shortly after attending a special Bilderberg dinner in 2009. The group's first chairman, Prince Bernhard, later became embroiled in a massive bribery scandal that threatened the Dutch monarchy. Meanwhile, journalists investigating Bilderberg have reported harassment and interference with their work. The group gained wider public attention when Alex Jones infiltrated their 2006 meeting in Ottawa, bringing these secretive gatherings into mainstream awareness. With attendees controlling major banks, corporations, and governments, many wonder what decisions about our collective future are being made in these private meetings, completely shielded from public scrutiny or democratic oversight. Before Hitler's rise to power, the Thule Society operated in Munich as an occult organization with strict racial requirements. Members needed to prove their pure Aryan bloodline through genealogical verification, with ancestry being grounds for immediate exclusion. The society was dedicated to discovering Hyperborea, believed to be the mythical northern homeland of the Aryan race, which they thought contained ancient powers that could help create a superior human lineage. In 1919, when communist revolutionaries attacked their headquarters, 7 Thule members, including aristocrats and their secretary, were executed. The society retaliated by organizing a citizen uprising that turned violent in Munich's streets. The Thule Society's influence extended far beyond mysticism. They established the newspaper that would become the Nazi Party's primary propaganda instrument and founded the German Workers' Party, the organization Hitler would later join and transform into the Nazi Party. While Hitler's personal membership remains contested, several of his high-ranking officers were deeply influenced by Thule's esoteric teachings. After seizing power, the Nazi regime banned all occult groups, including the Thule Society. The founder was arrested, and his book claiming responsibility for Hitler's ascent was destroyed. Nevertheless, Heinrich Himmler preserved many Thule concepts through the SS's Occult Research Division, which pursued investigations into Hyperborea and the development of supernatural weaponry, including rumored Vril-powered aircraft. The Thule Society's dark influence on Nazi ideology reveals how occult beliefs shaped one of history's most destructive regimes, and raises questions about what similar shadowy organizations might exist today. The Ahnenerbe was Hitler's infamous occult research unit, providing real historical basis for Nazi mysticism depicted in countless horror films. Founded under SS leadership, this organization deployed elite scholars to search for supernatural evidence of an Aryan. Their expeditions spanned continents, from Tibet, where they sought ancient Aryan powers, to Iceland hunting for mystical Nordic temples. Under occultists like Carl Maria Willigut, They transformed Wawelsburg Castle into their headquarters, complete with a dedicated Grail room and walls adorned with occult symbols. Beyond archaeological curiosities, the Ahnenerbe's work took a sinister turn. Their research directly contributed to Holocaust justifications, claiming bog bodies proved ancient Germanic. They conducted horrific experiments on camp prisoners, subjecting victims to freezing chambers and blood coagulation drug tests while collecting for their macabre collections. Their Tibet expeditions specifically targeted Buddhist Nordic race theory connections, while Caucasus missions sought evidence of ancient conflicts between supposedly Nordic and Semitic peoples. The looting of cultural treasures became standard practice, exemplified by their systematic theft of the Vatstas altar from Poland, treating sacred artifacts as spoils in their occult war. Most disturbing is their post-war legacy. Many members escaped justice, continuing careers in West German academia for decades. Rumors persist that their research continued secretly, with certain archaeological institutions potentially safeguarding their legacy today. Though officially dissolved in 1945, their influence permeates modern fringe archaeology and persistent Nazi occult conspiracy theories. When American forces seized their documents in a small Bavarian village, frantic destruction of evidence raises questions about what secrets were permanently lost. What remains in classified archives today? What knowledge remains hidden? The Ahnenerbe's official dissolution hasn't prevented its shadow from stretching across dark corners of occult communities and conspiracy circles worldwide. The Carbonari operated as a network of secret revolutionary cells across Italy in the early 19th century. While their name translated to charcoal burners, this was merely a code for their clandestine political activities. Members organized themselves in small units, gathering in meeting places they called barracks, where they referred to each other as good cousins while dismissing outsiders as pagani, literally heathens. Their anti-Catholic stance went far beyond casual religious skepticism. The society produced a controversial document called the Alta Vendita, which allegedly detailed their strategy to infiltrate the Catholic Church and subvert it from within through modernization and internal manipulation. This threat was taken so seriously that the Pope eventually excommunicated the entire organization. Behind their public facade of charcoal selling ceremonies lay more secretive initiation rituals and a commitment to armed revolution. The Carbonari launched multiple violent uprisings against established governments, resulting in bloodshed and executions of members. Connections to other secret societies deepened their mysterious reputation. Many believe the Carbonari originated as an offshoot of the Freemasons, with membership extending to influential figures like the poet Lord Byron and Louis Napoleon Bonaparte, suggesting their reach extended into elite political and cultural circles. After their failed uprisings of 1831 and formal papal condemnation, many Carbonari members transitioned into other revolutionary groups such as Young Italy. However, conspiracy theorists maintain that rather than dissolving, the organization simply went deeper underground, continuing their anti-clerical agenda through other secret societies. The Carbonari's influence spread internationally to France, Portugal, and Brazil, with revolutionary activity following in their wake. Their Alta Vendita document remains a cornerstone of conspiracy theories, cited as evidence of a centuries-long plot by secret societies to undermine organized religion and traditional power structures, a shadowy legacy that continues to fuel speculation about hidden forces shaping modern society. The Order of Assassins dominated the shadows of medieval Persia and Syria for nearly 200 years, transforming murder into a refined art form. Their legacy was written in blood, hundreds of high-profile killings including 3 caliphs, rulers of Jerusalem, and numerous Muslim and Christian leaders. Behind their deadly efficiency lay a sophisticated system of psychological manipulation. According to Marco Polo's accounts, recruits between 12 and 20 years old would be and awakened in luxurious gardens filled with beautiful women. The leader would convince them this paradise awaited in the afterlife, but only for those who died in service to the order. Their assassination methods were brutally effective: daggers, nerve poison, and arrows, but their true power came from psychological warfare. By executing targets in broad daylight and public spaces, they cultivated a terror that extended far beyond their actual reach. The very word assassin derives from their name, a linguistic testament to their fearsome reputation. Mystery surrounds their supposed destruction by Mongol forces in 1275. Some historians suggest they merely retreated underground, pointing to continued discoveries of their symbols and assassinations bearing their signature style long after their official demise. The Egyptian claim that they used hashish, giving rise to hashishin, remains contested, perhaps enemy propaganda or a cover for more sinister ritual practices. Their fortress strongholds, particularly Alamut Castle, functioned as labyrinthine compounds where recruits underwent months of indoctrination. The Order's manipulation tactics were remarkably sophisticated, allowing recruits to experience paradise-like luxury briefly before drugging them again, conditioning them to believe they could only return to this paradise by completing deadly missions. Most disturbing are the theories that the Order never truly disappeared, but evolved and adapted across centuries. A secret society with expertise in transforming ordinary people into fanatical killers through drug-induced religious experiences represents the kind of forbidden knowledge that rarely vanishes completely. It simply finds new shadows in which to operate. The Knights of the Golden Circle operated as one of the most ambitious and dangerous secret societies in American history. Their vision extended beyond simple conspiracy. They sought to establish a vast slave empire encompassing the entire Caribbean and Central America, spanning over 2,400 miles of territory. The organization's reach penetrated the highest echelons of American government. Vice President John Breckinridge, the Secretary of War, and the Secretary of Treasury all allegedly held membership in this clandestine group. Their plans included nothing less than the complete overthrow of the United States government, beginning with an assassination plot against Abraham Lincoln during his journey to Washington. When their initial plot failed, the Knights regrouped with even darker intentions. During the Civil War, they transformed into the Sons of Liberty, functioning as a terrorist organization throughout the northern states. Their activities included burning churches and orchestrating violent uprisings across Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa. The federal government eventually arrested, deported, and even executed members for treason. The conspiracy extends into some of America's most notorious historical events. John Wilkes Booth, Lincoln's assassin, allegedly belonged to this secret society. Some historians believe Jesse James maintained connections as well. Perhaps most intriguing are claims that the Knights buried millions in stolen gold intended to finance a second civil war, treasure that remains undiscovered to this day. While the Knights of the Golden Circle seemingly vanished from recorded history, conspiracy theories about their continued existence persist. Some believe they patiently await the perfect moment to resurrect their vision of a new Confederate empire, while others suggest they evolved into different secret societies that continue manipulating world events from the shadows. The most disturbing aspect of this secret society isn't merely their existence, but how dangerously close they came to achieving their goals. The Sons of Liberty operated in the shadows of revolutionary America, blurring the line between freedom fighters and organized terrorists. These weren't simply disgruntled colonists, they were masterminds of intimidation who transformed civil disobedience into violent spectacle. In 1770s Boston, masked figures would seize British tax collectors, strip them bare, coat them in scalding tar and feathers, then parade them through jeering crowds. Their victims called it mob terror, a fitting description for their methodical approach to rebellion. The organization maintained a sophisticated intimidation network centered around liberty trees, where they display nooses and effigies as warnings. Andrew Oliver learned their escalation tactics firsthand when they progressed from burning his likeness to torching his building after he hesitated to resign his position as tax collector. More disturbing was their possible strategic use of violence as addiction. Some historians believe they deliberately escalated demonstrations into riots, cultivating a taste for rebellion among the lower classes until colonial society began fracturing at its seams. What began as tea protests rapidly evolved into full-scale revolution. Their membership included prominent founding fathers. Paul Revere wasn't merely famous for his midnight ride, he helped coordinate attacks on British loyalists. Even Benedict Arnold operated within their network before his infamous defection. His betrayal takes on new dimensions when considered against potential conflicts within these clandestine gatherings. Conspiracy theorists point to occult connections through Freemason members within the organization. The ritualistic elements, the Liberty Tree, the specific ceremony of tar and feathering, the anonymous organizational structure, mirror patterns found in other secret societies throughout history. In a masterful display of psychological warfare, they maintained the tradition of toasting the king, the queen, and the royal family at every meeting, even while actively undermining British rule through treasonous acts. After the war, many members seemingly disappeared from public record. Some researchers trace organizational similarities between Sons of Liberty operational methods and early American intelligence networks, revolutionary cells operating in plain sight using refined tactics. The Sacred Band of Thebes stands as history's most unconventional elite military force, 300 warriors organized into 150 pairs of male lovers. Their military strategy was brutally effective. Soldiers wouldn't flee battle if it meant abandoning their beloved. Death became preferable to dishonor. These warriors transformed ancient warfare. They shattered Spartan military dominance and achieved a reputation for invincibility on the battlefield. Their power ended only at the Battle of Chaeronea in 338 BCE, when Philip of Macedon's forces surrounded them. Rather than surrender, all 300 men died together in formation. Upon discovering their bodies, Philip himself reportedly wept at their sacrifice and forbade mockery of their memory. Beyond military tactics, evidence suggests the Sacred Band participated in ancient mystery cults devoted to Eros. Members took sacred vows at the shrine of Iolaus, documented as Hercules' male lover. Their spiritual practices remained hidden from outsiders. The tomb marking their final resting place, a massive stone lion, was mysteriously shattered into 5 fragments. Official accounts blame an explosion during the Greek War of Independence, but alternative theories suggest someone systematically searched for artifacts hidden within. Archaeological excavations in 1902 revealed only 254 skeletons beneath the lion monument, arranged in suspiciously precise rows. The fate of the missing 46 warriors remains unexplained. Some scholars believe the Sacred Band served as guardians of ancient mystical knowledge that died with them, while others suggest they practiced tantric combat techniques lost to modern martial arts. Most troubling is how thoroughly their existence was documented then erased. Only a single detailed account survived, reading more like carefully crafted propaganda than objective history. Everything else about these warriors was systematically removed from historical records, leaving us with tantalizing fragments of a truth we may never fully uncover. The Ossewabrandwag operated as a clandestine network of Nazi sympathizers who successfully infiltrated South Africa's police forces, military installations, and mining operations during the 1940s. Their militant faction, known as the Stormjärs, bound themselves through a chilling oath: if I retreat, shoot me; if I fall, avenge me; if I charge, follow me. In 1940, the organization collaborated with Nazi intelligence to orchestrate a comprehensive coup against the South African government. Their strategy involved the simultaneous destruction of bridges connecting major cities, disabling the national power grid, executing government officials, and initiating a massive strike among mine workers, all synchronized with German military operations. With 15,000 armed operatives and deep penetration into the country's infrastructure workforce, they posed a legitimate threat to national security. When authorities ultimately discovered the plot and interned thousands of members, their story took an unexpected turn. Rather than fading into obscurity, these imprisoned conspirators eventually emerged as the leadership of South Africa's National Party. These former Nazi collaborators subsequently designed and implemented the apartheid system, transforming their extremist ideology into institutionalized law. Perhaps most disturbing is how seamlessly they transitioned from underground extremists to legitimate political operators. The apartheid regime wasn't a spontaneous development, but rather the calculated implementation of Nazi-inspired racial theories through official channels. This transformation raises uncomfortable questions about how many other supposedly defeated extremist groups simply rebrand themselves and continue advancing their agendas through legitimate institutions. The Maguires operated as a secret Irish mining society that brought violence to Pennsylvania's coal country in the 1860s. Their members conducted murders, assassinations, and bombings while operating beneath a veil of secrecy. To conceal their identities, they blackened their faces with burnt cork and sometimes dressed as women while carrying out their deeds. Their signature calling card was a coffin-shaped warning pinned to the doors of intended targets. Between 1863 and 1867, authorities attributed approximately 50 unsolved murders to this clandestine group. The Maguires cleverly used the legitimate ancient Order of Hibernians as their front organization, infiltrating the fraternal society to mask their operations. Dark questions surround their investigation. The Pinkerton detective who penetrated their ranks may have acted as an agent provocateur, encouraging more extreme violence than would have otherwise occurred. His daily reports mysteriously found their way to vigilante groups who retaliated with brutality, massacring entire families including women and children. The folklore surrounding the group includes the tale of a convicted member who left a bloody handprint on his prison wall before execution, declaring it would never fade as testament to his innocence. This mark reportedly remained visible for decades afterward. 20 men ultimately faced execution for their alleged crimes. A century later, Pennsylvania granted posthumous pardons after evidence emerged suggesting railroad barons may have manipulated the trials to destroy the nascent labor movement. Competing theories persist about the Maguires. Some historians believe they never truly existed as an organized group, but were fabricated by corporate interests to justify violent suppression of workers. Others maintain the society continues operating in secret, with descendants carrying on traditions in isolated mining communities. The complete truth disappeared with those 20 men who went to the gallows. In 1200 BCE, the Mediterranean world faced an unprecedented catastrophe when the mysterious sea peoples emerged from obscurity and systematically dismantled Bronze Age civilization. These formidable warriors crushed the Hittite Empire, destroyed the city of Ugarit, and nearly conquered Egypt, the ancient world's superpower. While conventional history dismisses them as mere raiders and migrants, evidence suggests something far more sinister. The Sea Peoples operated with remarkable military precision, transporting entire fleets and families across vast distances. Egyptian records describe their terrible weapons and unprecedented naval technology, possibly early iron-bronze hybrid metallurgy that shouldn't have existed for centuries. Their sudden mastery of advanced seafaring suggests access to forgotten navigational knowledge, including sophisticated star maps or primitive magnetic compasses. Egyptian hieroglyphs identify distinct groups, the Peliset, Checker, Shekelesh, and others, yet they acted in perfect coordination, as though controlled by a single authority. This level of organization across scattered Mediterranean tribes defies explanation. Even more suspicious, after Ramesses II barely repelled their invasion, he recruited the fearsome Shurden warriors into his personal guard, an inexplicable decision unless these enemies served a deeper purpose. DNA evidence confirms European ancestry among the Philistines, descendants of the Peliset, precisely during this period, proving a genetic intrusion into the Levant. Yet after orchestrating civilization's near-total collapse, these conquerors simply integrated into local populations. Their mission apparently complete. The late Bronze Age collapse wasn't random chaos. It was surgical and methodical, sparing only certain societies while eradicating others. Some researchers suggest the Sea Peoples were unwitting pawns in a cosmic reset, carriers of ancient knowledge tasked with wiping civilization's slate clean. Whatever their true nature, they remain history's most effective and enigmatic destroyers, their real identity deliberately obscured by time. The Culper Ring served as George Washington's covert intelligence network during the Revolutionary War, operating with unprecedented sophistication for its time. Washington himself used the codename 711, while his operatives communicated through an elaborate system of numbers and aliases to protect their identities. At the heart of the ring's mysteries stands Agent 355, a female operative potentially responsible for uncovering Benedict Arnold's infamous betrayal. Her true identity remains one of America's earliest unsolved mysteries, possibly Anna Strong, though no conclusive evidence exists. What's certain is that she vanished completely from historical records after her capture aboard a British prison ship, taking her secrets to the grave. The ring's technological innovations were equally remarkable. Their sympathetic stain in visible ink allowed messages to remain completely hidden until developed with a specific chemical compound. Countless historical documents examined by modern historians might still contain undiscovered messages written in similar substances, their secrets waiting to be revealed through advanced scanning techniques. James Rivington exemplified the network's brilliance through his perfect cover, operating a coffeehouse frequented by British officers while simultaneously publishing New York's prominent Loyalist newspaper, all while secretly funneling critical intelligence to Washington's forces. His true allegiance remained hidden until decades after his death. The network's secrecy proved so effective that Robert Townsend, one of its central figures, remained unidentified until 1929, when handwriting analysis finally revealed his role. This raises questions about how many other Revolutionary-era operatives remain anonymous, their contributions invisible to modern historians. The ring pioneered techniques still studied by intelligence agencies today, including dead drops, coded communications through seemingly innocent household items, and sophisticated counter-surveillance methods. Anna Strong's clothesline signals and Rivington's coded newspaper messages represented psychological operations before such concepts were formally recognized. Perhaps most disturbing was the network's use of enslaved individuals like Cato, who served Hercules Mulligan as an unwilling intelligence gatherer. These forced operatives faced extraordinary dangers without recognition, their experiences and secrets erased from conventional historical narratives, victims of both the espionage system and the institution that enslaved them. The Nio stand as imposing 8-foot guardians at Buddhist temple gates across Japan, their muscular bodies and wrathful expressions designed to terrify evil spirits. These ancient sentinels form a powerful duality, one with mouth permanently open, screaming into existence, the other with lips sealed shut, representing the beginning and end of all things, the Sanskrit A and Un that encompasses the universe. In the 1600s, Japanese Buddhist monks developed what became known as Nio Zen, a specialized meditation practice where practitioners would adopt the fierce, aggressive stances of these guardians for hours at a time. They believed these postures allowed them to absorb supernatural power directly from the statues, channeling an ancient force that could allegedly destroy enemies through thought alone. Beyond their surface mythology, these guardians trace back to Vajrapani, the thunderbolt-wielding deity who accompanied Buddha as his protector. Temple caretakers have documented unexplained phenomena surrounding the Nio for centuries, vibrations emanating from the statues during midnight meditations, breathing sounds in empty halls, and muscles that appear to twitch in moonlight. Workers installing new Nio Guardians often report unsettling experiences, feelings of being watched, invisible pressure, and in some cases being physically pushed away from construction sites by unseen forces. The power these entities represent proved so potent that similar guardian figures eventually materialized in Chinese Taoism, adopting new identities while maintaining their terrifying features. Some esoteric scholars suggest these entities represent a primordial force that predates organized religion itself, a universal power so ancient it transcended Buddhist and Taoist boundaries, manifesting across Asia in these intimidating guardians that continue to exert their influence on those who approach them with proper reverence or meditation techniques. The Order of the Palladium stands as one of history's most successful hoaxes, orchestrated by French writer Leo Taxil in the 1890s, specifically to deceive the Catholic Church. Taxil fabricated an elaborate tale of a satanic inner circle operating within Freemasonry, complete with detailed accounts of their blasphemous activities. According to Taxil's fabrication, Palladium members participated in nude orgiastic ceremonies, directly worshipped Satan, and plotted the Catholic Church's destruction. At the center of this fictional order was Grand Priestess Diana Vaughan, supposedly a female demon descendant who led ceremonies desecrating Christian symbols amid sexual excesses. Taxil went further by implicating Albert Pike, a respected Scottish Rite Mason, as the sovereign pontiff of Universal Freemasonry who controlled the sinister organization from Charleston, South Carolina. The deception proved remarkably effective. French bishops endorsed Taxil's claims, and he even secured a private audience with the Pope. For over a decade, the Catholic establishment believed in this fictional web of satanic Masons plotting world domination. Taxil continuously embellished his tale with invented power struggles between competing factions: Luciferians who worshipped Lucifer as a god of light versus Satanists, awaiting the devil's cosmic victory. The grand reveal came in 1897 when Taxil rented a large Parisian hall where many expected Diana Vaughan to make her first public appearance. Instead, Taxil took the stage and confessed to the elaborate hoax, publicly humiliating the entire Catholic Church. The announcement triggered such outrage that police cleared the hall while Taxil calmly dined with friends elsewhere in the city. The hoax's lasting impact proved more disturbing than the deception itself. The very word Satanist entered the English language because of Taxil's fabrication. Despite his public confession, fundamentalist Christians and conspiracy theorists continue citing these fictional palladist stories as evidence of Masonic devil worship. The myth persisted so powerfully that for years afterward, occult seekers in Italy attempted to join this non-existent order. In 13th century Milan, a woman named Guglielma of Bohemia arrived claiming to be the Holy Spirit incarnate. The Gugliemites, her devoted followers, embraced a radical belief system centered on female religious authority and apocalyptic prophecy. Guglielma preached that upon her resurrection, she would establish a new church entirely governed by women, a revolutionary concept 6 centuries before modern discussions of female clergy. Her most fervent disciple, Maifreda da Pirovano, took this vision to its extreme. After Guglielma's death, Maifreda had herself elected as pope and conducted mass over her mentor's grave. This wasn't just religious rebellion, it was connected to power. Maifreda was the first cousin of Milan's ruler, embedding this heretical movement within the city's elite circles. Following Guglielma's death, her remains were interred at a Cistercian monastery where a cult of worship flourished around her. The Inquisition eventually intervened, approximately 20 years later. They subjected her followers to torture, exhumed Guglielma's bones for burning, and executed 3 disciples by fire. The movement's persistence defies explanation. Remarkably, a Franciscan friar composed a complete hagiography venerating Guglielma as a saint around 1425. The Visconti family, Milan's ruling dynasty, apparently preserved records of the heresy trial rather than destroying them. Later, Bianca Maria Visconti commissioned artwork depicting Guglielma with saintly attributes. Perhaps most fascinating is the connection to tarot symbolism. The Papessa card in the Visconti Sforza tarot deck likely portrays Maifreda, the heretic female pope. Modern scholars only uncovered this connection 50 years ago, yet the family had concealed this secret in plain view for centuries. The Gugliemites represent a medieval conspiracy of extraordinary proportions. Powerful ruling families protecting a heretical cult that envisioned women leading the church. Their story raises questions about how many other forbidden beliefs and movements have been secretly preserved by elite families throughout history. The Society of the Elect originated from Cecil Rhodes' ambition to establish a secret network uniting all English-speaking nations under British dominion. Rhodes explicitly outlined plans for global empire in his will, and upon his death in 1902, his devoted followers formed this shadow organization to fulfill his imperial vision. The Round Table functioned as their public facade, hosting diplomatic meetings and publishing respected journals, while the society operated covertly behind the scenes. They systematically recruited from elite institutions including Oxford, Cambridge, and the Rhodes Scholarship Program itself, effectively cultivating future world leaders from their earliest professional development. The society's influence allegedly extended deep into governments across the Atlantic. Some historians suggest they deliberately orchestrated World War I to weaken European powers while strengthening Anglo-American control. Their network reportedly penetrated British intelligence services, American banking institutions, and governments throughout the Commonwealth. Following Rhodes' death, various interconnected groups continued advancing their agenda, including Lord Milner's Kindergarten and the broader Round Table movement. Their self-designation as the elect reflected their belief in their divine mandate to reshape global order according to Rhodes' vision. Former Council on Foreign Relations insider Carol Quigley documented their activities with unusual credibility. Unlike typical conspiracy theorists, Quigley accessed their private archives and detailed their transcontinental network's influence over policy formation, conflict initiation, and regime change operations. Many researchers believe they continue operating today under rebranded organizations. The same founding families and core agenda allegedly persist, merely adapting their front organizations to contemporary contexts. Virtually every major Anglo-American global institution bears their distinctive influence. The compelling aspect of this conspiracy lies in its substantial documentation. Rhodes' will remains publicly accessible. The Round Table's World War I machinations are historically recorded. Quigley's insider research provides rare substantiation. The enduring mystery surrounds their contemporary operations and ultimate objectives in our modern world. Heaven's Gate transformed mass suicide into a cosmic journey, with 39 members taking their lives in March 1997 to board what they believed was an alien spacecraft. Beyond the widely known facts lie disturbing details that reveal the true extent of their devotion. Members voluntarily underwent castration, convinced their physical bodies, especially their reproductive organs, prevented them from ascending to the next level. Their compounds featured unusual construction materials like rubber tires, and many purchased alien abduction insurance as protection. Leaders Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles claimed to be the two witnesses from the Book of Revelation, but their beliefs extended beyond Christianity into fringe alien theories. They described themselves as walk-ins, extraterrestrial souls who had taken over human bodies to complete their earthly mission. The timing of their departure was precisely calculated. They chose to die during the appearance of Comet Hale-Bopp, believing an extraterrestrial vessel trailed behind it, ready to collect their souls. This belief wasn't spontaneous. It spread through Art Bell's popular late-night radio show Coast to Coast AM, which frequently discussed a mysterious companion object following the comet. The media's amplification of these theories potentially solidified the group's fatal decision. Financial mysteries surround the cult as well. Higher Source, their web design company, generated substantial income during the early internet boom. Their client list remains shrouded in secrecy, classified information unavailable to the public. Most puzzling is that their website continued operating long after their deaths. Someone continued paying hosting fees while surviving members maintained the digital presence. The ritual aspects of their exit reveal methodical planning. Each member wore identical Nike Decade sneakers, identical purple shrouds covering their faces, and consumed precisely measured doses of phenobarbital. The date, March 22nd, coincided exactly with 5 Solar Temple cult suicides in Canada, both groups sharing beliefs about cosmic transcendence through death. In the months following the mass event, 3 former members who had initially declined to participate ended their lives using identical methods, raising questions about external pressure or influence. Government agencies had been monitoring Heaven's Gate, with ATF files documenting their activities. Some theorize authorities preferred a self-inflicted end rather than risking another Waco-style confrontation. The true legacy of Heaven's Gate extends beyond UFO mythology into questions about psychological control and programming. How could Applewhite convince dozens of intelligent individuals to not only end their lives, but surgically alter their bodies while maintaining unwavering belief? Where did they believe their souls were truly headed, and who might have influenced their dramatic final act? These questions remain unanswered decades later, making Heaven's Gate one of modern America's most disturbing and enigmatic cult phenomena. The Irish Hellfire Club conducted their gatherings in an abandoned hunting lodge atop Montpellier Hill. Legend states the building's roof was torn away during a violent storm on their inaugural meeting night. Many believe this was no coincidence, but rather the devil himself arriving to join their revelry. Within those walls, numerous disturbing incidents reportedly occurred. One tale involves a priest discovered dead at the base of the stairs. While officially attributed to a heart attack, witnesses claimed his face was frozen in absolute terror after members forced him to gaze into a dark mirror where he witnessed something immediately fatal. Another account describes a farmer who accidentally encountered one of their meetings. Upon discovery, the members allegedly engaged him in a card game wagering not money, but pieces of his soul. By morning, he was found wandering fields in a state of complete madness, mumbling about transactions with figures dressed in black cloaks. The club consisted of Ireland's elite judges, politicians, and high-ranking military officers. Despite owning vast estates, they chose this derelict location for secrecy. Local farmers continue to report strange lights and screams emanating from the lodge on certain nights. One particularly chilling story tells of club members gambling with the devil himself when their alcohol supply depleted. A mysterious man in black appeared, played cards throughout the night, and upon his dawn departure left the room covered in sulfur with deep claw marks gouged into the stone walls, markings supposedly still visible today. The club allegedly disbanded after summoning something beyond their control. The building burned shortly thereafter, despite having been previously gutted by the initial storm. Modern hikers report glimpsing dark figures among the ruins and experiencing overwhelming dread that compels immediate departure. The Brethren of Purity operated as a secret society in 9th century Iraq, far more sophisticated than modern conspiracy groups. They communicated through complex mathematical code language and concealed philosophical teachings within a massive 52-volume encyclopedia. Their true identities remain unknown to this day. These enigmatic figures referred to themselves as sleepers in the cave, hiding behind allegories of animals escaping hunters. Their organization functioned with military precision, structured into 4 distinct ranks: craftsmen at the bottom, followed by political leaders, then kings, and finally the elite prophets and philosophers at the summit. Their secrecy wasn't born of fear but purpose. They claimed to safeguard God-given gifts from the outside world. Their rituals followed a precise schedule: 3 gatherings monthly, with the 3rd meeting featuring hymns that channeled ancient Sabian practices, suggesting connections to pre-Islamic mystical traditions. The true nature of their activities remains shrouded in mystery. Some scholars believe they were Sufis concealing mystical knowledge, while others connect them to Ismaili sects known for esoteric Islamic interpretations. Evidence also suggests possible ties to the Mutazilites, a philosophical movement that explored controversial ideas about free will and divine justice. Only one man claimed to know their identities, Al-Tawidi, who denounced them as heretics and named specific members. Strangely, his full account vanished until 1942, suggesting a millennium-long suppression of information about the group. Their encyclopedia described the creation of perfect men by fusing Eastern mysticism with Greek science and Christian morality, not merely philosophy but instructions for manufacturing a new type of human consciousness. These 52 treatises potentially contained coded instructions for achieving elevated states of awareness. The Brethren's actual agenda remains locked within their writings. Whether they sought to preserve ancient wisdom, engineer spiritual revolution, or pursue darker aims remains unknown. What's certain is that they operated in shadows for centuries, their identities concealed, their true purpose accessible only to the initiated few who understood their complex symbolic language. The Knights of Pythias stand as America's first congressionally chartered secret society, an honor that immediately raises questions about their true influence and connections. Founded in Washington, D.C. during the Civil War in 1864, This organization operates behind the facade of a benevolent fraternal order while maintaining deeper, more secretive practices. Their public-facing initials, FCB, supposedly represent friendship, charity, benevolence, but initiates learn the Latin phrase Fidelis Custos Boni, or faithful guardian of the good. This guardian role extends beyond simple charity work, as evidenced by their death-based initiation rituals and the traditional gifting of swords to new members. The Pythians maintain a paramilitary division called the Uniform Rank that marches in public parades fully armed. Their internal hierarchy mirrors medieval power structures with members designated as pages, esquires, and knights, while their meeting locations bear the imposing title of castles. Throughout American history, the Knights have attracted powerful political figures. Presidents Franklin Roosevelt, Warren Harding, and William McKinley all held membership, suggesting the organization's reach extends far beyond charitable works. The Pythians also enforced racial segregation, directing black members to a separate organization, while white members retained control over the main order. Today, with over 50,000 members worldwide operating under the motto, "True friends are a refuge," the Knights of Pythias continue their centuries-old practices behind closed doors. While publicly presenting themselves as a charitable brotherhood, their military structure, political connections, and secretive rituals point to an organization with purposes far beyond what they publicly admit. The Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor operated in secrecy since 1870, not 1894 as commonly recorded in historical texts. This clandestine organization controlled occult knowledge deliberately kept from the public eye. Max Theon established the group after reportedly being initiated into a mysterious ancient order with roots stretching back millennia. Behind the scenes, however, Peter Davidson wielded the true power from two separate power centers in Scotland and America, suggesting a deeper agenda than publicly acknowledged. Their practices centered around Paschal Beverly Randolph's controversial theories of sex magic, utilizing sexual energies to access cosmic forces. These same esoteric principles later influenced the infamous Ordo Templi Orientis. Such practices ventured far beyond conventional spiritual teachings of the era. The Brotherhood engaged in a bitter rivalry with Helena Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society. Davidson claimed Blavatsky had fallen under the influence of an inferior Buddhist cult. Their credibility suffered a serious blow when their own secretary, Thomas Henry Burgoyne, was exposed for fraud in 1883, raising questions about the organization's true nature. Theosophists denounced them as moral degenerates. Curiously, Blavatsky herself mentioned a Brotherhood of Luxor in her writings, though connections between these similarly named groups remain unverified, a coincidence too convenient to ignore. Most disturbing were their claims of possessing practical occult methods that granted genuine supernatural abilities rather than merely theoretical knowledge. This emphasis on practical application of occult powers suggests capabilities beyond conventional understanding. Many who opposed them mysteriously found themselves discredited or met unfortunate fates, raising questions about what truly happened within their secretive ceremonies and what forbidden knowledge they might have accessed. Aum Shinrikyo transformed from a peaceful yoga organization into one of history's most dangerous cults in just 8 years. Founder Shoko Asahara manipulated followers into believing they needed to trigger the apocalypse through mass murder, all while operating behind the facade of a spiritual meditation center. What made Aum truly frightening was its ability to recruit Japan's intellectual elite, scientists, doctors, and graduates from prestigious universities who willingly joined this doomsday cult. Asahara employed sophisticated mind control techniques, forcing members to wear electrode caps, supposedly synchronizing their brainwaves with his, administering LSD during initiation rituals, and subjecting followers to torturous practices like being suspended upside down for alleged spiritual advancement. The cult's preparations were meticulous and chilling. They manufactured sarin gas after conducting poisoning experiments on sheep in Australia's outback. Their resources were substantial: $90 million in cash reserves, a Russian military helicopter, and blueprints for manufacturing AK-47S defectors faced deadly consequences. strangulation being the preferred method of silencing dissent. Asahara's inner circle genuinely believed World War III would begin in 1997. Their 1995 Tokyo subway attack, which killed 13 and injured thousands, wasn't just terrorism, it was intended to initiate the end times. Despite overwhelming evidence, Asahara maintained his innocence until his execution in 2018. The Japanese government still holds his remains, fearing they could become objects of worship. Though officially disbanded, Aum lives on through its successor organization Aleph, which maintains approximately 1,500 members who continue to venerate Asahara's image. Disturbing evidence suggests ongoing surveillance of police and legal officials, with photographs marked for targeting. As recently as 2019, a vehicle attack on Tokyo's New Year's celebrations was linked to revenge for executed Aum members. The most unsettling question remains: how many original members continue to operate in society, awaiting their next opportunity? Deep in Mali's rugged cliffs, the Dogon people possess astronomical knowledge that defies conventional explanation. French anthropologists documented how this isolated tribe accurately described Sirius B, a star completely invisible without advanced telescopes, decades before Western science confirmed its existence. Even more remarkably, the Dogon detailed a third star in the Sirius system that wasn't officially discovered until the 1990s. The Dogon didn't just identify these celestial bodies, they charted their precise 50-year orbital paths with astonishing accuracy. Mainstream scientists suggest European astronomers must have secretly visited and shared this information before formal studies began. Others propose a far more extraordinary possibility. At the center of Dogon cosmology are the Namo, described as amphibious beings with green skin and forked tongues who traveled from the Sirius star system. According to tribal lore, these entities arrived in an ark that caused massive disturbances upon landing, bringing advanced knowledge to early humans. The tribe maintains elaborate secret societies accessible only to initiated men, with women forbidden from learning their sacred language. These exclusive groups claim to safeguard ancient wisdom about Earth's creation and humanity's extraterrestrial origins. Their most sacred ritual, the Sigui ceremony, occurs once every 60 years and remains strictly off-limits to outsiders. Dogon creation myths describe humanity's origins from nomad fish, who divided humans into male and female forms to limit our potential power. Their circumcision rituals supposedly remove humanity's excess divine nature. Tribal priests isolate themselves for months at a time, reportedly receiving wisdom from a sacred serpent during their seclusion. The 5% Nation emerged as one of America's most radical black nationalist movements, founded on the belief that black men are literally divine beings. Their cosmology teaches that the original black man ruled Earth for 66 trillion years before whites were artificially created by a scientist named Yakub approximately 6,000 years ago. According to their doctrine, these laboratory-created white people were specifically engineered as devils and eventually banished to live in European caves. The 1969 assassination of their founder, who called himself Allah, remains unsolved. He was gunned down in his Harlem apartment building shortly after successfully preventing neighborhood riots and establishing relationships with New York City officials, timing many followers consider highly suspicious. Their influence extends deeply into hip-hop culture, with prominent artists like Wu-Tang Clan, Nas, Jay-Z, and Busta Rhymes incorporating 5%er teachings into their lyrics. Much of modern street slang originated from their terminology. Phrases like dropping science and word is bond derive directly from their linguistic code. Federal authorities have designated the 5%ers as a security threat group. Their literature is prohibited in correctional facilities, and inmates with known affiliation face enhanced security classifications in many states. Their core philosophy, known as ultimate mathematics, divides humanity into three categories: 85% uninformed masses, 10% corrupt elite manipulators, and themselves, the enlightened 5% tasked with awakening others. This ideology has quietly spread through popular music, potentially reaching millions of listeners unaware of its origins. The group maintains a hierarchical gender structure, referring to women as earths who exist to serve men who are considered gods. Unlike traditional religious movements, they reject classification as a religion entirely. Their members don't worship a deity because they believe they themselves embody divine power. The Vehmic Courts operated as shadow justice systems throughout medieval Germany, wielding extraordinary power through secrecy and fear. These tribunals emerged during the 13th century, consisting of hooded judges who met under cover of darkness to determine fates outside traditional legal structures. Their judicial reach extended across the Holy Roman Empire, with thousands of free judges operating by the 1300s, connected through elaborate secret handshakes and coded passwords. When targeting someone for judgment, these courts would nail summonses directly to doors. Failure to appear transformed everyday citizens into enforcers. Your neighbors, local merchants, or family friends could suddenly become your executioners. Bodies of the condemned were often marked with the cryptic inscription SSGG, believed to represent stone, rope, grass, green, the implements of execution at their disposal. Though nominally answering to the Holy Roman Emperor, these courts operated with minimal oversight. Their reputation for inescapable justice drove some targets to suicide rather than face the dreaded Vehmic hunt. The court's methodologies lingered in German consciousness for centuries afterward. During the early 20th century, right-wing groups appropriated their symbolism and methods, labeling political assassinations as Femimord, executions of supposed traitors through this medieval form of justice. The Nazi regime later incorporated elements into their werewolf commando operations. Rumors persist that descendant organizations continue operating in shadow, that certain old families maintain these traditions, still judging, still executing. While modern Germany dismisses such activities as criminal vigilantism, this official stance might simply provide perfect cover for their continued existence beneath the surface of contemporary society. In 1928 Eastern China, thousands of peasants driven to the breaking point by brutal warlords and crushing taxation formed the Red Spear Society, far more than a typical resistance movement. These desperate farmers fused ancient blood magic with their revolutionary fervor, creating a powerful occult insurgency. The society's fighters carried spears adorned with red tassels, believing the color created an invisible shield against both bullets and demonic forces. Buddhist monks led them into battle while chanting protective incantations, their weapons inscribed with mystical symbols said to grant invincibility. Some accounts suggest they conducted human sacrifices before major confrontations to strengthen their protective enchantments. By 1929, the Red Spears had established their own proto-state in Shandong province, collecting taxes and executing government officials on site. The movement became so formidable that following Lu's brutal suppression campaign, surviving insurgents were mysteriously welcomed into government positions rather than executed. This unusual response suggests authorities feared the occult practices the society had mastered were too powerful to eliminate entirely. The movement shared striking similarities with the earlier Boxer Rebellion, using identical magical protection symbols and battle rituals. This connection points to an ancient Chinese mystical tradition that repeatedly surfaced throughout history, powerful enough to make governments prefer assimilation to confrontation. Even decades after their supposed eradication by the Communist Party, similar movements continued appearing in overseas Chinese communities. The Red Spears transcended mere agrarian revolt. They were practitioners of forgotten battle magic, effective enough to terrify warlords into submission. In villages under their control, every family was required to contribute at least one member to the society, not simply for protection, but for darker purposes. Many believed they were building an army for a prophesied cosmic battle between celestial forces, gathering every available soul for the coming apocalyptic confrontation. Originating in Tibetan and Japanese occult traditions, the Green Dragon Society remains one of history's most enigmatic underground organizations. Their rituals remain undocumented, as witnesses rarely survive to document their practices. The society allegedly orchestrated the collapse of empires throughout history. During the fall of the Russian Empire, they operated through Rasputin, rumored to be their high priest who infiltrated the royal court. He supposedly fed dangerous secrets to the Tsarina, turning her against her people and contributing to the Romanov downfall. When the dynasty collapsed, the society's archives mysteriously disappeared without a trace. Following Berlin's fall in 1945, Nazi officials discovered the bodies of Tibetan monks wearing green dragon robes in underground tunnels. Their cause of death remained officially undetermined, possibly mass suicide or execution to protect ancient secrets. These reports were subsequently classified and conveniently lost from official records. The society reportedly instructed Karl Haushofer in geopolitical strategy, who later became Hitler's mentor. Their ancient knowledge of world energy lines purportedly guided Nazi territorial expansion plans. Tibet served not merely as a spiritual retreat, but as their strategic headquarters, from which they manipulated global power structures through spiritual means. Their meditation techniques allegedly unlock superhuman abilities beyond normal comprehension. Former members have described experiences of astral projection, mind control, and precognitive visions. Those who reveal too much about the organization tend to meet untimely ends through seemingly unrelated drownings, heart attacks, or inexplicable accidents. The Green Dragon Society never truly disbanded, but merely descended deeper into secrecy. They have allegedly infiltrated the highest echelons of governments worldwide, utilizing mystical knowledge to shape global events from the shadows. Their ultimate objective appears to be spiritual domination through merging Eastern occult practices with Western power structures. The complete truth remains sealed within remote Tibetan monasteries, guarded by monks bound by vows of eternal silence. Breaking such vows supposedly triggers curses that haunt bloodlines for 7 generations. The Black Ocean Society emerged from the shadows of Japan's samurai era with ambitions far beyond restoring their lost status. These former warriors established a sophisticated espionage network disguised as brothels throughout China and Southeast Asia, extracting military intelligence and blackmailing officials through their illicit operations. Their dedication to espionage reached such heights that they established a training academy in Sapporo specifically to teach operatives the art of extracting state secrets from intoxicated politicians. Their influence extended to brutal international affairs. The society was implicated in the 1895 assassination of Queen Min of Korea, with their leader Miura Goro overseeing Japanese operations in Seoul when members were discovered with blood-stained hands. Though never convicted in court, the evidence pointed directly to their involvement. What began as a rebellious faction transformed into a power center within Japanese politics. By World War II, cabinet ministers and diet members openly belonged to the Genyosha. Their ascent to power came through methodical application of terror, assassination, and organized crime, not merely influencing Japanese politics, but becoming its dark foundation. The society maintained deep connections with the Yakuza from its inception, though they transcended typical organized crime. They operated as a political terrorist organization that recruited criminals for their most unsavory tasks, establishing the enduring connection between right-wing politics and organized crime that persists in Japan today. Their calculated manipulation extended to foreign policy, where they supported Korean peasant uprisings specifically to provoke conflict between China and Japan, creating pretexts for Japanese territorial expansion. This cold-blooded orchestration of foreign conflicts revealed the true extent of their geopolitical machinations. Though officially disbanded by American occupation forces following World War II, their ideology and methodologies merely adapted and continued underground. The Black Ocean Society's dark legacy flows through Japanese political history like an invisible current, influencing events long after their official dissolution. The Italian P2 Lodge operated as a shadow government within Italy, extending its influence into banking, intelligence agencies, and even the Vatican. Despite using Masonic imagery, legitimate Freemasons expelled P2 for its extreme corruption and clandestine agenda. During Italy's violent Years of Lead, marked by bombings and assassinations, P2 manipulated events from behind the scenes. Their membership roster revealed the true extent of their reach. Military generals, intelligence directors, media executives, and high-ranking politicians formed this secret network of power. Italian authorities uncovered P2's operations during a raid on Grandmaster Licio Gelli's villa. A former Mussolini blackshirt with documented CIA connections, Gelli maintained a membership list of 962 influential figures, including future Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi. P2's influence extended to the notorious collapse of Banco Ambrosiano and the death of banker Roberto Calvi in 1982. Calvi's body was discovered hanging beneath London's Blackfriars Bridge, weighed down with bricks in his pockets, the scene arranged with distinctly Masonic symbolism. The death of Pope John Paul raises further questions about P2's reach. The pontiff died precisely 33 days into his papacy, a number with significant Masonic meaning, shortly after receiving documents detailing Vatican bank corruption. The organization's plan for democratic rebirth outlined their strategy for merging Italy's legitimate government with their shadow network. This wasn't merely theoretical. Evidence suggests they were actively implementing this takeover. Many investigators believe P2 never truly disbanded, but simply retreated deeper into secrecy, continuing to manipulate Italian politics and banking systems. Their operational methods have since become a blueprint for hidden power structures worldwide, influencing how modern shadow organizations function beyond public scrutiny. The White Lotus Society operated far beyond simple meditation and prayers described in conventional history. In ancient China, Buddhist monks began organizing clandestine gatherings where men and women freely mingled, a revolutionary concept for that era. Their official devotion centered on Buddha Maitreya, the prophesied messiah destined to rescue humanity during the apocalypse. Behind this facade lay their true source of power: devotion to the birthless old mother, not a benevolent deity, but the transcendent Buddha who would gather her faithful during world's end. Followers believed her teachings granted immunity to weapons, leading thousands of rebels to charge fearlessly into battle, convinced of their invulnerability. By daylight, members blended perfectly among ordinary villagers. Under cover of darkness, they convened in secret chambers, burning incense, a coded signal for rebellion planning. Government officials grew suspicious when entire provinces simultaneously revolted, revealing not random uprisings but precisely orchestrated maneuvers from an invisible underground army. The society's influence reached its zenith when they helped topple an entire dynasty. The Ming Dynasty founder, originally a White Lotus member, strategically abandoned his beliefs when requiring Confucian support. This convenient timing suggests he maintained his connections while bringing the organization's influence into mainstream power. The subsequent Qing dynasty outlawed the society, forcing deeper underground operations. Corrupt officials exploited public fear, arbitrarily arresting supposed White Lotus members for extortion purposes, regardless of actual affiliation. Throughout the 1800s, the society emerged repeatedly, spearheading massive rebellions requiring years of military suppression, infiltrating government positions, and eventually collaborating with Japanese forces during World War II. Perhaps most intriguing, historians debate whether White Lotus evolved into a government catch-all term for any threatening group. Was a single massive conspiracy connecting these rebellions, or did governmental paranoia itself become the conspiracy? During times when discussing Buddha outside official temples constituted treason, one wonders what authorities truly feared. Evidence suggests the society never fully disappeared, but transformed into other secret organizations, potentially including modern triads controlling organized crime networks. After centuries perfecting the art of hiding in plain sight, such an organization would have little reason to abandon its methods. The Myrmidons served as Achilles' elite warriors during the Trojan War, but their legacy extends far beyond ancient Greece. Medieval Byzantine chroniclers claimed these warriors survived through the ages, becoming the Bulgarian people, while other accounts linked them to the Rus Vikings. Their true nature, however, remains shrouded in mystery. The classical myth describes Zeus transforming ants into men to create the Myrmidons, but this sanitized version obscures a darker truth. The Oxford Dictionary reveals their essence: hired ruffians, professional killers who execute orders without question, devoid of conscience or mercy. This legacy of unwavering obedience continues into modern times. Elite military units still honor the Myrmidon name. The Royal Navy and U.S. Navy have commissioned multiple warships bearing this title, connecting contemporary military power to ancient forces. In 1749, Henry Fielding wrote of thugs with a leader, not as fiction, but as a coded warning about their continued existence. The Byzantine connection to Bulgaria wasn't coincidental. Historical texts suggest the Byzantines feared what they had unleashed and began using Bulgars as code for these ant people who had spread, infected new hosts, and established new colonies throughout Europe. The transformation continues today. Those who follow orders without thinking, defend their leaders unconditionally, and operate with hive-mind precision carry on the Myrmidon legacy. They've simply changed their uniforms and learned to move undetected among us, watching and waiting for their next command. For over 250 years, the oculists concealed their activities behind an elaborate cipher of 75,000 bizarre symbols bound in gold and green paper. When finally decoded in 2011, this manuscript revealed something extraordinary. This secretive society had infiltrated Freemasonry, documenting every forbidden ritual of their highest degrees in meticulous detail. Operating from the shadows of 1730s Germany while Pope Clement X actively hunted Freemasons, the oculists were led by Count Friedrich von Veltheim. Their membership potentially included influential figures like Benjamin Franklin, Voltaire, and George Washington. The society used sight as their central metaphor for accessing hidden knowledge forbidden to ordinary people. The oculists' initiation rituals were bizarre and symbolic. New members faced a mock eye operation, where a single eyebrow hair was plucked after they failed to read a blank piece of paper. Their ceremonies featured masters wearing blue eye amulets, while candidates knelt surrounded by surgical instruments and microscopes. What makes the oculists truly enigmatic is how thoroughly they documented Masonic secrets. Their manuscript contains every detail of Masonic rituals: the skulls, coffins, nooses, and even the veneration of Hiram Abiff, whose decomposed body represented the alchemical transformation of rot into gold. Such complete knowledge suggests they weren't merely observing Freemasonry, but were deeply embedded within it. Some researchers believe the entire ophthalmological theme served merely as cover. When oculist is replaced with Maurer, the German word for mason, the document reads exactly like an encrypted Masonic ritual manual designed to hide forbidden knowledge from authorities. The society mysteriously vanished after von Veltheim's death in 1775. Their trunk of secret items was passed down through generations with strict instructions that it could only be opened with specific ducal approval. The contents of this trunk and the true purpose of the oculists remain one of history's most tantalizing mysteries. A secret society devoted to documenting other secret societies, preserving knowledge that was never meant to be seen. In the mid-1840s, France's literary elite formed a secretive organization known as the Hashish Eaters Club, gathering in the isolated Hotel Pimadan in Paris. Literary giants Victor Hugo, Alexandre Dumas, and Charles Baudelaire participated in monthly séances where they consumed a potent green substance called dawamesk, a hashish paste mixed with honey and pistachios imported from Egypt and North Africa. These sessions would induce altered states lasting up to 12 hours. While publicly framed as scientific research into drug-induced creativity, darker connections emerged. The club maintained links to the Bicêtre Mental Asylum, where cannabis was secretly cultivated on the grounds. This connection raises disturbing questions about early mind control experiments, predating MK Ultra by nearly a century. The timing coincided suspiciously with Napoleon's Egyptian campaign and France's conquest of Algeria, suggesting these gatherings may have served intelligence purposes to study drug effects on creative minds. The club used coded invitations decipherable only by members, and Théophile Gautier described the Hotel Pimadan as an oasis of solitude defended against civilization. Painter Eugène Delacroix produced strange artworks during these sessions, while Baudelaire's famous artificial paradises might actually be a coded manual for inducing specific states of consciousness. The precise recipe for Dawamesque remained closely guarded among members. By 1849, the club mysteriously disbanded after just 5 years. Some members abruptly stopped attending, claiming they needed their natural dreams, but others believe authorities discovered their true activities and forced them to shut down. The Hotel Pimoden itself harbors a dark history, built by the Duke of Lauzun, who died under mysterious circumstances in prison. Rumors persist of secret passages and hidden rooms where even more disturbing experiments may have occurred. Most notably, the first comprehensive history of this club wasn't published until 2024, suggesting a 175-year effort to conceal what truly transpired during those hashish-fueled nights in Paris. The Arioi of Tahiti operated as a secretive cult with shocking practices. Members systematically eliminated their offspring, either through abortion or infanticide, supposedly in devotion to Ordo, their war deity. Beyond religious devotion, this practice served to maintain their bloodline purity. These elite members lived segregated in special houses, with membership highly restricted. Initiation required divine possession, with potential members entering gatherings in trance states. If accepted, they gained extraordinary social privileges. The Arioi wielded remarkable power, freely criticizing chiefs and religious authorities during performances without consequence. Their status as religious entertainers provided cover for activities conducted in private ceremonies, while strict taboos prevented outsiders from witnessing their sacred rituals. When Christianity arrived, the Arioi adapted rather than disappeared. They transformed into the Mamaya movement, claiming visions from the Virgin Mary while maintaining possession by Ordo. This new incarnation incited rebellions and preserved their occult practices under Christian veneer. Most intriguing is how similar secret societies emerged independently throughout Pacific Islands, the Kaioi and Halau Hula schools among them, each with distinct rituals and power structures. These widespread patterns suggest these organizations preserved ancient knowledge and practices across vast oceanic distances for millennia. The Dark Watchers strike without warning or discernible pattern. Their method begins with a letter in your mailbox, an innocuous envelope that irreversibly alters your life. Operating through a sophisticated network of sleeper agents, they monitor their targets for months before making first contact. These letters contain impossibly intimate knowledge, your private thoughts, conversations you had in complete solitude, and detailed records of your movements proving long-term surveillance. Recipients consistently report an overwhelming sensation of being perpetually observed afterward. Victims document disturbing phenomena. Shadowy figures standing motionless outside homes for hours, only to disappear when approached. Many experience waking to find household objects subtly rearranged, changes minor enough to question one's own perception and sanity. Those who attempt resistance meet a disturbing fate. They disappear gradually rather than dramatically, ceasing online activity, exhibiting strange behavior before cutting contact until they simply vanish. Authorities discover abandoned residences with all personal belongings intact, but no bodies or evidence of struggle. Perhaps most unsettling is the Dark Watchers' communication system of coded symbols scattered across obscure internet forums. Researchers tracking these symbols often become targets themselves. One investigator claimed to have infiltrated their organization, only to post a frantic message about something worse behind them before his entire digital presence was systematically erased. The truly terrifying aspect lies in their apparent purposelessness. They demand no ransoms, espouse no religious agenda, and seem to inflict psychological torture purely for its own sake. This raises the fundamental question about their nature. Are they human entities, or something else entirely wearing human disguise? In medieval Spain, deep within prison cells carved from stone, desperate men formed bonds that would evolve into something far more sinister than any ordinary gang. This shadowy society operated with such secrecy that many historians today question whether it truly existed. The organization allegedly pulled strings behind countless public executions during the Spanish Inquisition. For 3 centuries, these invisible hands carried out the church's most brutal tasks. According to legends, they weren't merely killers, they operated under a strict code with elaborate rituals and a complex system for determining who would live or die. Their origin traces back to a blood-soaked act of vengeance. 3 men reportedly murdered someone who had dishonored their sister, then fled to escape execution. What followed was a gradual transformation into something far more organized and widespread. The most disturbing aspect of this tale concerns their legacy. Some believe these Spanish criminals never truly vanished, but instead founded every major mob organization in Italy. The Mafia, Camorra, and 'Ndrangheta supposedly all trace their roots back to shipwrecked Spanish fugitives who established new criminal empires on foreign shores. Their prison initiations involved literal blood oaths. New members needed to prove themselves through increasingly dangerous assignments until they earned their rank, often by orchestrating elaborate murders that could never be traced back to them. Their rumored connections to piracy suggest a vast criminal network with influence spanning the entire Spanish Empire, coordinating illicit operations from the Americas to the Mediterranean. This raises questions about how many significant historical events might have been orchestrated by their hidden hand. Modern scholars may dismiss these stories as mere legend, but perhaps that's precisely what a truly effective secret society would want, for everyone to believe they never existed at all. Yet in Calabria, folk songs still recount the tale of 3 Spanish brothers who started it all, keeping their legacy alive through generations of whispered stories. The most profound conspiracy surrounding secret societies may be their very existence. These organizations, with their meticulously documented rituals, conveniently leaked symbols, and membership lists that remain just secret enough, exhibit a suspicious perfection in their construction. They function as manufactured threats, social control mechanisms designed to divert public attention from genuine centers of power. True elites have no need for ceremonial robes or candlelit chambers. They convene openly at economic forums and private islands. The evidence supporting these societies follows predictable patterns: unclear photographs, unverifiable documents, and anonymous whistleblowers who vanish without trace. These alleged organizations invariably embody the predominant fears of their era: the Illuminati emerging during religious upheaval, Bohemian Grove gaining prominence amid Cold War anxieties. They appear almost deliberately crafted as perfect villains for their time. Meanwhile, those with actual influence observe with amusement as the public fixates on symbolic gestures and architectural meanings, while real power operates through mundane corporate subsidiaries and tax havens. Some intelligence insiders suggest the CIA deliberately created or amplified conspiracy theories following Kennedy's assassination, a calculated strategy to discredit legitimate questioning by submerging it in absurdity. Yet perhaps the most disturbing possibility remains that the "there is no society" theory itself represents the final deceptive layer, conditioning people to doubt evidence before their eyes while allowing powerful groups to operate with impunity in plain sight. All of them are the same, worshipping the same being. This entry reveals the potential hidden truth that every secret society throughout history serves as a branch of one ancient cult devoted to a single entity. The Illuminati, Skull and Bones, Knights Templar, these organizations appear distinct, but archaeological evidence exposes them as different masks concealing the same face. Their shared symbolism betrays this connection: the all-seeing eye, the owl, the phoenix. These seemingly different emblems all represented the same pre-human deity in ancient Mesopotamian artifacts, a being referenced only as the architect in recovered texts. Those who reach the highest levels of these organizations discover the uncomfortable truth that they've been serving identical masters all along. Former 33rd degree Freemasons have documented rituals matching exactly those performed in Vatican sub-basements and beneath Bohemian Grove. This entity demands tribute through human sacrifice and societal control. Historical records reveal mass casualties, plagues, wars, economic collapses, all precisely aligning with ritual dates and engineered as offerings to this power. Ancient manuscripts describe this being as transcending human concepts of good and evil, an intelligence existing before humanity that views us merely as instruments. For worship, it grants knowledge and influence to its followers. Most disturbing is the pattern across fallen civilizations. Societies that achieved technological supremacy suddenly collapsed after discovering specific mathematical formulas. Today's secret societies each preserve fragments of these equations, holding different pieces of a cosmic calculation. Their ultimate objective isn't merely controlling world affairs but completing this mathematical sequence, believed to fully manifest their deity in our dimension. What follows such manifestation remains something even the highest initiates fear to contemplate.